The North Canol Road, Yukon and Northwest Territories, Canada. My buddy Stoyan and I gassed up and left my house in Tok, Alaska on the morning of August 15, 2025. We headed down the Alaska Highway into Yukon Territory. A few weeks ago, I rode down and went across the South Canol Road, intending to ride the North Canol alone. I miscalculated the time required with muddy roads and didn't make it onto the North Canol segment. This weekend, in spite of starting out in a bit of mixed weather, the forecast looks hopefully dry from this evening forward. While I enjoy riding alone, this will be a great road to be riding with a friend. I believe the Canol Road is the most isolated road in Yukon Territory. We saw some great scenery along the Alaska Highway before we got to Haines Junction for gas and a snack. We hopped back on the road and skipped on down to Whitehorse before taking the Klondike Highway north to Carmacks and then the Robert Campbell Highway east to our first night stop, a bit shy of Ross River. I passed 88,888 kilometers on my KLR today. Not sure off the top of my head what that was in miles, but it was a cool number. Our campsite tonight was beside a stunning lake in one of the Yukon Territorial campgrounds. Day 2 started with a campfire and a bowl of oatmeal and cranberries. We then packed up and rode into Ross River, where we topped off with gas. Stoyan and I are each packing spare fuel bladders to extend our range just a bit. The South Canol Road, featured in my last video, runs between Johnson's Crossing on the Alaska Highway and Ross River near the Robert Campbell Highway. That section is about 137 miles long. We are skipping the South Canol section and starting on the North Canol Road, where it picks up from Ross River and continues to the Northwest Territories border, where it changes to the unmaintained Canol Heritage Trail. The North Canol section is 144 miles long. There are no services north of Ross River. A couple mining exploration camps with their associated traffic can be found along the road. Otherwise, you will only find an occasional hunter or explorer out wandering this route. The Canol Road was part of the Canadian Oil Project during World War II to support a pipeline from Norman Wells, Northwest Territories, to Whitehorse. The pipeline no longer exists. However, from my understanding, the Yukon portion of the road has been maintained minimally by the Yukon government during summer months since the late 1950s. The Canol Road is rough, remote, and is little more than one lane in many areas. Unless you are fairly self-sufficient, I wouldn't recommend traveling it alone. A solid toolkit and the ability to patch your own tires would be a definite requirement. Quiet Lake here is the only official campground along the North Canol Road. We made a short snack stop and kept moving north. A bit more history on the Canol Road. Construction of the Alaska Highway led to a determination that a source of fuel was required. High-grade oil was available at Norman Wells. A refinery was built in Whitehorse, and the U.S. military constructed the Canol Road for access to build and service the pipeline to Whitehorse. The 4-inch pipeline was laid directly on the ground, and the high grade of the oil allowed it to flow even at extreme cold winter temperatures of negative 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Oil flow started in 1944, but was shut down on April 1, 1945, after less than satisfactory performance. Only 1/12 of the oil supplied to Alaska for military operations came from the Canol project that year. The Canol Heritage Trail has not been maintained from the Northwest Territory border on since the shutdown of the pipeline. All of the bridges are washed out, and it is very rough. It is used as a hiking and mountain biking trail by a few people each year. The early part of it can be traveled for some distance, depending on the off-road capability of your vehicle, but travel on it is not recommended. It is unlikely that the Canadian government will ever reopen the Heritage Trail for regular vehicle traffic. Here, you can see some recently graded road. However, I'm pretty sure this section was worse than the rest of the road. There really didn't seem to be enough material there to actually smooth it out, and the loose rocks and turned over material was literally worse than the ungraded section for motorcycles. I wonder how many hours in and out the trip is for this truck driver, delivering fuel to one of the mining camps. They seem to travel barely over a slow crawl. These old truck graveyards are left over from the construction of the road. Although I did park here between them for a video clip, I was very careful not to disturb them.
Well, I wasn't asking for that one, but...
Oh my god.
There we go.
This is the end of the maintained portion of road just past the NWT border. The left side of the Y here goes to a mining camp, and the right side is the Heritage Trail. You'll notice the notably rougher trail from here on. This morning, before leaving Ross River, we noticed the weather forecast has a high chance of rain tomorrow night up here in the north. The roads have been a fun ride in dry weather, but look like they would be very slick and challenging in wet weather. We are going to venture a bit further, but then are going to return as far south as possible by dark tonight to avoid getting stuck too far north to make the ferry back across the Pelly River tomorrow night before its last trip at 5 p.m. Here, about 10 miles inside the Northwest Territories border, approximately, we got to our target point where the first significant washed-out bridge is. Today, the flowing water wouldn't have been over about mid-axle height on the bikes, but the rocks underneath were slick. We could have crossed after a bit of scouting, but chose to turn around. We already know we are turning back today anyways, and the water crossing didn't seem worth the effort for the short distance further we would have gone on this trip. We don't want to get caught in the rain tomorrow and have time yet tonight to make a substantial jump back towards the south. One day, I will return when I have a couple extra days of flexibility and see how much further I can venture.
Well, that will be the end of the road.
On the way back.
One additional thing I would file away for future consideration out here is the fact that any recent rain would likely significantly increase the water level for at least a short duration of time. Anyone else looking to make this ride should carefully assess conditions prior to crossing any moving river. The lighting and scenery for the return trip this evening might have been even more beautiful than coming in. It's cool how running the same road in the opposite direction almost feels like a new stretch of road. And what do you think of this for cool landscape? Stepping carefully into this stream for these video shots felt like I'd likely wake up stuck in a fairy world covered in green slime if I messed it up. I was careful. I didn't mess anything up, and I didn't wake up covered in slime the next morning. By the way, I paid for this Moscow Moto Basilisk suit myself because I wanted to try it compared to my Climb Badlands suit. And actually none of my riding gear is sponsored. I've purchased all of it as far as the gear I wear on my body. I might eventually get around to doing an actual gear opinion video, but for now, I'll just note that the Moscow suit is lighter. The included armor pads aren't shaped the same and seem a bit less protective in my opinion. However, I might actually like it better than the Climb suit for comfort. I'll have to put some more miles in wearing it for a longer term opinion. Also, I said early this year I was going to do a 50,000 mile video on the KLR. I obviously haven't gotten to that yet. Maybe going into this winter I'll eventually get a high mileage experience video made. Stoyan and I ended up riding a bit into the dark to get back to Quiet Lake to camp for the night. The nights up here in the north are too bright for much of the summer riding season to see the northern lights. Luckily, by mid-August, there is enough dark at night that we were treated to a pretty cool early light show. On day 3, we woke up to a peaceful fog over the lake. Privacy might not be the strongest feature of this wilderness toilet, but you can't ask for a much more scenic wooded spot to poop. After a bit of breakfast, we packed up camp and headed toward Ross River. We made it over the ferry in time that we decided to ride the South Canol Road also. Stoyan had never been on it, and I have only run it from south to north in the past. I didn't film as much because I just did a video on the South Canol. I mostly just enjoyed the route, pushed the corners just a wee bit harder than I'd probably recommend, and played around as we traveled. I don't think nature could have handed us a more beautiful weekend for this trip. Once down to the Alaska Highway, we turned north toward Whitehorse. We rode on up to Congdon Creek Campground on Kluane Lake in Destruction Bay for the night. On morning 4, I was happy to run into my friends Adiel and Francesca from Chile again. Thanks for visiting my house on your trip, and I'll see you guys down in Chile in a few years. Hey, check out Stoyan's rear sprocket. We saw it was worn but didn't expect it to wear so fast. Apparently, the almost 100 horsepower on the Husky wears the last bit of the sprocket down just a little faster than my KLR. We tightened the chain up a bit from here and rode real gentle from Destruction Bay on home. We made it without a problem. I don't think we'd wear it that low again though, if we can help it. Total mileage this trip was 1,548 miles. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next adventure coming soon.